someone who ultimately became a terrorist murderer.
Congressman King, you said after the bombings that, and this is your quote, "We are letting our guard down." Do you believe that this attack should have been prevented? And you have also have said, I gather, that political correctness be damned, we have to do more effective surveillance inside the Muslim community.
Well, actually, as far as letting our guard down, I was being critical of those in Congress, some of my own party, who want to start cutting funding for Homeland Security because they think this war is over. It's not. As far as, what was the other part of your question, Chris?
The surveillance inside the Muslim community.
Oh, yeah. Listen, the threat is coming from within the Muslim community in these cases. In New York, that's why Commissioner Kelly has 1,000 police officers out in the community. Unfortunately, he gets smeared by the New York Times and the Associated Press. But the fact is, we've stopped 16 plots in New York because we know that al-Qaeda has shifted its tactics. It's not going to be attackers from overseas. We've been able to prevent that. They are getting people in our country who are under the radar screen, who have clean records. We saw it with the Times Square bomber, the subway bomber in New York, and now we've seen it, it appears, in Massachusetts. And 99% of the Muslims are outstanding Americans. The fact is, that's where the threat is coming from. When the FBI was after the Westies, they went to the Irish community. When they were after the Mafia, they went to the Italian community. If you know what threat is coming from a certain community, that's where you have to look.
Let me bring in Senator Feinstein, your reaction to that.
Well, that's exactly where they will look. I mean, I don't think of this as very helpful. I think the important thing is to get the facts, let the investigation proceed. The FBI has very good interrogators. They know what they are doing, and I believe that they will put a case together that will be very strong. With respect to whether we are doing enough in the Muslim community, I think we should take a look at that. But I don't think we need to go and develop some real disdain and hatred on television about it.
I must say, I don't think that's what Congressman King was saying. He was saying that's where the threat's coming from. We have to address the threat.
Well, this came at this point from two individuals. That's what we really do know. We do not know what their connections are. So I think we ought to find out before we begin to charge them with all kinds of associations.
We have a couple of minutes left, and I want to ask you a question and Congressman King a question. Senator, reaction to the Boston bombings has spilled into other issues, including gun control. And there's some conservatives who say, that when 1 million people in Boston were forced to stay in their homes, that a lot of those people, particularly in Watertown, where they were going door to door, and there was a real concern that this fellow might be on the loose, might break into their house, might take hostages. Would people like to have had guns?
Oh, some may have, yes. But if where you're going is, do they need an assault weapon? I don't think so. As the Vice President said,
shouldn't they have the right to decide whatever weapon they feel they need to protect themselves?
Well, how about a machine gun then? We did away with machine guns because of how they're used. I think we should do away with assault weapons because of how they're used.
Semi-automatics, that's the most popular rifle in America.
And you can use a 12-gauge shotgun and have a good defensive effect. And there's the element of surprise. Now, you've got police all over the place in Watertown. So I don't really think that this is applicable. I think there are people that make this argument, but 12-gauge shotgun, there are many weapons, the 2,000-plus weapons that are available to people for choice without an assault weapon.
We're running out of time, so I'm not going to give you a chance to answer that question, Congressman King, but I'm going to give you a chance to answer the other question. This has also spilled into the debate over immigration.